Hello everybody, Rusted Ground here and welcome back to Mass Effect. This is a video that I wanted to make about the Codex, and I want it to be a little bit off the normal gameplay videos, because maybe some people don't want to, watch a video where we basically just go through all the Codex entries, and they want to see gameplay. With that said, I'm going to say it from the start. This is a video where we are going to listen to some of the Codex entries that we already have, and for the secondary Codex entries, I'm going to read them out loud for most of them. The reason why I want to do this is because the Codex is, I think, an essential part of Mass Effect, and you can find out a lot about the races and the whole universe in Mass Effect from these Codex entries, right? So, without further ado, again, if you just want to listen to this video, you can just minimize the window and move on and just listen to it, or if you don't want to listen to it and you don't really care about the Codex, you can move on to the next gameplay video, which should be up as well. So, let's start here with the first entry in the Codex, which is Aliens Council Races.
Roughly 1,200 years ago, the Turians were invited to join the Citadel Council to fulfill the role of galactic peacekeepers. The Turians have the largest fleet in Citadel space, and they make up the single largest portion of the Council's military forces. As their territory and influence has spread, the Turians have come to rely on the Solarians for military intelligence and the Asari for diplomacy. Despite a somewhat colonial attitude towards the rest of the galaxy, the ruling hierarchy understands they would lose more than they would gain if the other two races were ever removed. Turians come from an autocratic society that values discipline and possesses a strong sense of personal and collective honor. There is lingering animosity between Turians and humans over the First Contact War of 2157, which is known as the Relay 314 incident to the Turians. Officially, however, the two species are allies, and they enjoy civil, if cool, diplomatic relations.
Okay, so we have already met the Turians, because Nihilus was a Turian, and also Seren, the bad guy that we have so far in the game, he is also a Turian. And as you can see, they have a very military look to it, and to them. I'm looking at this picture here, so they're very, they for me at least, they give you the impression of a very military race, and very disciplined race. And as we can see from the description, they are that. Moving on to the extinct races of Mass Effect.
50,000 years ago, the Protheans were the only spacefaring species in the galaxy. They vanished in a swift galactic extinction. Only the legacy of their empire remains. They are believed to have built the mass relays and the Citadel, which have allowed numerous species to explore and expand throughout the galaxy. Prothean ruins are found on worlds across the galaxy. While surprisingly intact for their age, functioning examples of Prothean paleotechnology are rare. Time and generations of looters have picked their dead cities and derelict stations clean. Some believe the Protheans meddled in the evolution of younger races. The Hanar homeworld of Kaje, for example, shows clear evidence of former Prothean occupation. The presence of a former Prothean observation post on Mars has caused a rebirth of interventionary evolutionists among humans. These individuals believe the god myths of ancient civilizations are misremembered encounters with aliens.
Okay, so we already know that the Protheans' relics are very powerful, and from what I take it here, right, even though they're such an ancient race and they're an extinct race, their technology is far way more advanced than what we currently have already. That's my take on it now from what I've played. I find it very intriguing, and I would like to know more about, how they disappeared and stuff like that, so I'm hoping that we will get to find that out. in the game. Okay, moving on to the non-council races.
The Geth are a humanoid race of networked AIs. They were created by the Quarians 300 years ago as tools of labor and war. When the Geth showed signs of self-evolution, the Quarians attempted to exterminate them. The Geth won the resulting war. This example has led to legal, systematic repression of artificial intelligences in galactic society. The Geth possess a unique distributed intelligence. An individual has rudimentary animal instincts, but as their numbers and proximity increase, the apparent intelligence of each individual improves. In groups, they can reason, analyze situations, and use tactics, as well as any organic race. Geth space is located at the trailing end of the Perseus Arm, beyond the lawless Terminus systems. The Perseus Veil, an obscuring dark nebula of opaque gas and dust, lies between their space and the Terminus systems.
Very interesting. I find the Geth a very interesting race from what I hear. I like the concept of them being more powerful and more intelligent with numbers. And yeah, it's interesting that they managed to win the war against their creators. That is, yeah, cool. Okay, moving on to non-sapient creatures.
After the Geth secure a location, they round up and impale dead and living bodies on mechanical spikes. The spikes rapidly transform these victims into withered husks, extracting water and trace minerals, and replacing them with cybernetics. The cybernetics reanimate the lifeless flesh and tissue, transforming the bodies into mindless killing machines. Some Alliance soldiers refer to the husk-generating spikes as dragon's teeth, a reference to the mythological berserkers who sprang up from the earth wherever the teeth of the dragon Eris were planted. Dragon's teeth and husks bear little resemblance to other pieces of Geth technology. No one is sure why a synthetic race would bother to drain the minuscule amount of recoverable resources from organic corpses, though the value of reusing them as shock troops is obvious.
Exactly my thought. Why would a non-organic race be extracting organic materials from organic races? That is very interesting, and I really hope we're gonna find this out. Yeah, curious. So no one is really sure. So there are some theories, but we don't really know which they are at this point in time. Okay, let's move on to the Citadel and the Galactic Government.
The Citadel is an ancient deep space station, presumably constructed by the Protheans. Since the Prothean extinction, numerous species have come to call the Citadel home. It serves as the political, cultural, and financial capital of the galactic community. To represent their interests, most species maintain embassies on the Presidium, the Citadel's inner ring. The Citadel Tower in the center of the Presidium holds the Citadel Council chambers. Council affairs often have far-reaching effects on the rest of the galactic community. 5 arms, known as the wards, extend from the Presidium. Their inner surfaces have been built into cities, populated by millions of inhabitants from across the galaxy. The Citadel is virtually indestructible. If attacked, the station can close its arms to form a solid, impregnable shell. For as long as the station has existed, an enigmatic race called the Keepers has maintained it.
Very cool. So again, coming back to what I said previously, the Prothean technology, right? Ancient technology that is far way advanced, far more advanced than what we currently have in the world. It's very interesting.
The Council is an executive committee composed of representatives from the Asari Republics, the Turian hierarchy, and the Solarian Union. Though they have no official power over the independent governments of other species, the Council's decisions carry great weight throughout the galaxy. No single Council race is strong enough to defy the other two, and all have a vested interest in compromise and cooperation. Each of the Council species has general characteristics associated with the various aspects of governing the galaxy. The Asari are typically seen as diplomats and mediators. The Solarians gather intelligence and information. The Turians provide the bulk of the military and peacekeeping forces. Any species granted an embassy on the Citadel is considered an associate member, bound by the accords of the Citadel Conventions. Associate members may bring issues to the attention of the Council, though they have no input on the decision. The Human Systems Alliance became an associate member of the Citadel in 2165.
Cool, so when I saw them earlier in the game, I actually had the same thought that one of them looks very military, the other one looks very, I don't know if diplomatic would be the best term to use, but yeah, let's put it like that. And the third one, the one with the hoodie, they look like a very smart type of alien race that just tries to cover themselves up. It's interesting. It's very interesting because I got the same feeling described in here the first time I saw them, and I'm very curious to see how we interact with each race, first of all, but also with its members. Let's move on to the Spectres.
Spectres are agents from the Office of Special Tactics and Reconnaissance, and answer only to the Citadel Council. They are elite military operatives, granted the authority to deal with threats to peace and stability in whatever way they deem necessary. They operate independently or in groups of 2 or 3. Some are empathetic peacekeepers, resolving disputes through diplomacy. Others are cold-blooded assassins, ruthlessly dispatching problem individuals. All get the job done one way or another, often operating outside the bounds of galactic law. The Spectres were founded after the Solarians joined the Council. For many years they operated in secrecy as backroom problem solvers. Only after the Krogan rebellions did their activities become publicized. Assignment of a Spectre is less contentious than a military deployment, but makes it clear that the Council is concerned about a situation.
So basically the Spectres are the secret assassin society, where only the elite can join. And if you're a member of the Spectre, you're a pretty badass guy, right? Or gal. That's my take on it. And also, so the Spectres aren't just made up of one race, they are made up of multiple members of multiple races. And as Nihilus put it, they don't care what race you are, they care how good you are, which I find very cool. But on the other hand, I'm very curious why there is this building pressure for us to become members of the Spectres, you know? I'm very curious to find out why. Okay, moving on to humanity and the Systems Alliance.
Humanity's first contact with an alien race occurred in 2157. At that time, the Alliance allowed survey fleets to activate any dormant mass relays discovered, a practice considered dangerous and irresponsible by Council-aligned races. When a Turian patrol discovered a human fleet attempting to activate a relay, they attacked. One human vessel survived, retreating to the colony of Shanxi. The Turians followed, quickly defeating the local forces. Shanxi was occupied, the first and to date only human world to be conquered by an alien species. The Turians believed the handful of ships they defeated represented the bulk of human defenses, so they were unprepared when the Second Fleet, under Admiral Castany Drescher, launched a strong counteroffensive, evicting them from Shanxi. The Turians mobilized for full-scale war, drawing the attention of the rest of the galaxy. The Council quickly intervened, forcing a truce. Fortunately for humanity, the First Contact War was ended with a diplomatic solution.
So that's why there's beef between us and the Turians. Okay, now I get it. Now I get why they're, you know, so cold, so to say, and why they're so dismissive. And I think I get why Saren has a problem with us. Just a little bit. Okay, moving on to the Systems Alliance.
The Systems Alliance is an independent supranational government representing the interests of humanity as a whole. The Alliance is responsible for the governance and defense of all extrasolar colonies and stations. The Alliance grew out of the various national space programs as a matter of practicality. Sol's planets had been explored and exploited through piecemeal national efforts. The expense of colonizing entire new solar systems could not be met by any one country. With humans knowing that alien contact was inevitable, there was enough political will to jointly fund an international effort. Still, the alliance was often disregarded by those on Earth until the First Contact War. While the national governments dithered and bickered over who should lead the effort to liberate Shanxi, the Alliance fleet struck decisively. Post-war public approval gave the Alliance the credibility to establish its own parliament and become the galactic face of humanity.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. Moving on to planets and locations.
The terminus systems are located on the far side of the Attican Traverse, beyond the space administered by the Citadel Council or claimed by the Human Systems Alliance. It is populated by a loose affiliation of minor species, united only in their refusal to acknowledge the political authority of the Council or adhere to the Citadel Conventions. Their independence comes at a price. The terminus is fraught with conflict. War among the various species is common, as governments and dictators constantly rise and fall. The region is a haven for illegal activities, particularly piracy and the slave trade. At least once a year, a fleet from the terminus invades the nearby Attican Traverse. These attacks are typically small raids against poorly defended colonies. The Council rarely retaliates, as sending patrols into the terminus systems could unify the disparate species against their common foe, triggering a long and costly war.
I see. Okay. Okay. And I think finally we're going... No, it's not the last one. We have 3 more ships and vehicles now.
The Mako infantry fighting vehicle was designed for the System Alliance's frigates. Though the interior is cramped, an M35 is small enough to be carried in the cargo bay and easily deployed on virtually any world. With its turreted 155mm mass accelerator and coaxially mounted machine gun, the Mako can provide a fire team with weapon support as well as mobility. Since Alliance Marines may be required to fight on any world, the Mako is environmentally sealed and equipped with microthrusters for use on low-gravity planetoids. The Mako is powered by a sealed hydrogen-oxygen fuel cell and includes a small Element Zero core. While not large enough to nullify the vehicle's mass, the core can reduce it enough to be safely airdropped. When used in conjunction with thrusters, it also allows the Mako to extricate itself from difficult terrain.
So I understood that the Mako is going to be used in quite a few missions, and you also have missions that you need to do with the Mako, and it's used for exploration mostly. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Well, we've seen it in the cargo bay, but we have to see, how it handles itself. Moving on to technology.
Biotics is the ability of rare individuals to manipulate dark energy and create mass effect fields through the use of electrical impulses from the brain. Intense training and surgically implanted amplifiers are necessary for a biotic to produce mass effect fields powerful enough for practical use. The relative strength of biotic abilities varies greatly among species and with each individual. There are 3 branches of biotics. Telekinesis uses mass-lowering fields to levitate or impel objects. Mass-raising kinetic fields are used to block or pin objects. Spatial distortion uses rapidly shifting mass fields to shred objects. Most organic species are capable of developing biotic abilities, though there are risks involved. Biotics are the result of an in utero exposure to Element Zero. This usually causes fatal cancers in the victim, but in rare cases, it coalesces into nodules within the fetus's developing nervous system.
Okay, so is this thing something that can be controlled? I mean, if in most of the cases results in fatal cancer in the victim. Is this like can everybody become biotic, or by choice, or how? I'm not really very sure. I mean, I understand how it works and everything and what it means, but I don't understand why one would get such a... I mean, does everybody get it, or there's, I don't know, certain individuals that are bred for this type of to get biotics, or I don't even know, yeah, how to put it here. We need to find out more about biotics. Okay, moving on to the OmniTool.
OmniTools are handheld devices that combine a computer microframe, sensor analysis pack, and manufacturing fabricator. Versatile and reliable, an OmniTool can be used to analyze and adjust the functionality of most standard equipment, including weapons and armor, from a distance. The fabrication module can rapidly assemble small three-dimensional objects from common reusable industrial plastics, ceramics, and light alloys. This allows for field repairs and modifications to most standard items, as well as the reuse of salvaged equipment. OmniTools are standard issue for soldiers and first-in colonists.
Very cool, very cool. Okay. And last but not least, weapons, armor, and equipment.
Combat hard suits use a dual-layer system to protect the wearer. The inner layer consists of fabric armor with kinetic padding. Areas that don't need to be flexible, such as the chest or shins, are reinforced with sheets of lightweight, ablative ceramic. The outer layer consists of automatically generated kinetic barriers. Objects traveling above a certain speed will trigger the barrier's reflex system and be deflected, provided there is enough energy left in the shield's power cell. Armored hard suits are sealable to protect the wearer from extremes of temperature and atmosphere. Standard equipment includes an onboard mini-frame and a communications, navigation, and sensing suite. The mini-frame is designed to accept and display data from a weapon's smart targeting system to make it easier to locate and eliminate enemies.
Well, first thing I have to say about this body armor is that the one in the picture here looks pretty badass. And yeah, it looks pretty badass. Moving on to kinetic barriers, or shields.
Kinetic barriers, more commonly called shields, provide protection against most mass accelerator weapons. Whether on a starship or a soldier's suit of armor, the basic principle remains the same. Kinetic barriers are repulsive mass effect fields, projected from tiny emitters. These shields safely deflect small objects traveling at rapid velocities. This affords protection from bullets and other dangerous projectiles, but still allows the user to sit down without knocking away their chair. The shielding afforded by kinetic barriers does not protect against extremes of temperature, toxins, or radiation.
Okay, so now we know a little bit more about the game. We know a little bit more about the races that we encountered and about the Citadel, where we are now. So let's move on to the secondary Codex entries. I'm not going to go through the player tutorials. Personal history, we kind of know the personal history because we created the character, right? So that's in the first episode of the series. Now, Citadel and Galactic Government. Okay, so these are the statistics for the Citadel station, which say, although the Citadel is equipped with mass effect generating element 0 cores, most of the gravity on the station is generated by the centrifugal force of rotation. It has a 3.5 minutes, it takes 3.5 minutes per revolution, and wow, okay, it weighs 7.11 billion metric tons, and it has a population of 13.2 million, not including the keepers. Okay, but they can't be that many, you know. I think, I don't know. Cool. Okay, Humanity and the Systems Alliance. So this is the timeline, which I believe we covered. So the current date is 2183, and just give me a second here. So, the first contact wasn't that long ago. I mean, what? Not even 30 years. Yeah, that's interesting. So, of course, they're gonna hold a grudge here. Ships and vehicles. Starship sensors. Okay. What do we have here? Technology, biotic amps. Okay, so this is something that Caden uses, right? Biotics manipulate mass effect fields using dozens of element zero nodules within their nervous systems that react to electric stimuli from the brain. Amplifiers allow biotics to synchronize the nodules so they can form fields large and strong enough for practical use. Amplifiers can improve a specific discipline or talent. An implant is a surgically embedded interface port into which amps are plugged in. On humans, the implant is usually placed at the base of the skull for convenient access, though the user must be careful to keep it free of contaminants. Okay, so this sounds a little bit like Johnny Mnemonic. Implant ports can fit a variety of amps, and there is a growing market for modifications and add-ons. The finest quality implants and amps are manufactured by Asari artisans, but the Alliance's L3 implants, first deployed in 2170, are a significant step forward. Well, from what we know, Caden has a L2 implant, which, if the L3 implant is, 17, 18 years old, right? His must be really, really old then. So, of course, it's outdated. And, yeah, very cool, very cool. Okay, weapons and equipment. So, the development of practical manufacturing OmniTools allows modern militaries a great deal of flexibility in equipment loadouts. A vast number of field modification kits or upgrades are available for common equipment such as weapons, armor, OmniTools, biotic amps, and even grenades. An upgrade kit typically consists of less than a dozen unique parts and an optical storage disk. When loaded into the OmniTool, the OSD provides all technical specifications required to manufacture the tools and additional parts necessary to install the upgrade onto another piece of equipment. Assembly is typically modular, and installation can be completed in less than a minute. Since OmniTools are designed to use common battlefield salvage materials such as plastics, ceramics, and light metals, rendered into semi-molten OmniGel for quick use, it is quite possible for a trained soldier carrying upgrade kits to customize gear on the battlefield to fit the current tactical situation. Very cool. So, these are the Codex entries that we have so far. Like I said, I found, especially the primary Codex entries, I found them very interesting, and I'm glad we went through them. And it just gives you a bit more information about the whole world. And this is what I want. This is what I like, and it just puts things into perspective and makes you understand why, like I said, why some of the characters would react in a certain way. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you took the time to listen to it. And if you did, be sure to give a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.